Hello and welcome to Writer Rant, author advice in 5 minutes or less because I have to get back to writing and so do you. So this week I want to talk a little bit about reviews. As some of you know, on my main website, benjaminmweilert.com, I have essentially what's called BMW the Critic. And that's where I go and I review movies and books, audiobooks, and books that are given to me either by Goodreads or by other authors who've contacted me essentially out of the blue. And something that I've noticed, especially for the authors who contact people who've done reviews on Amazon and have a lot of reviews and have reviews on very famous books, is oftentimes they will compare their book to a book that this person has reviewed. It's like, hey, I saw you reviewed this really famous book by this really famous author that's a great piece of literature that honestly is, so high above this person's writing that they're like, hey, my book's exactly like that. It's like, no. Let's stop the comparisons. I've gotten at least half a dozen or more requests from authors out of the blue. They're just like, hey, I saw you liked Ender's Game. I'm like, yeah, I really like Ender's Game because it's a great story, had a good twist, really well written. Your story's not Ender's Game. So don't compare it to Ender's Game. In fact, I will read more reviews, I will review more books when they are not compared to something I have already reviewed. Because if I love it, hey, I love it. But the fact that you're using something like that as a crutch to get into a reviewer's essentially read pile, honestly, they're going to look at your book and say, oh, they said it was like Ender's Game. So they'll a lot of times compare it directly to the book that you're comparing it to. Oftentimes I'll use Lord of the Rings as kind of the go-to comparison for my first trilogy, the Flexion trilogy. The trick is that I give it a twist. I say it's Lord of the Rings with lasers. So if you're going to compare your work to something, you got to give it a twist. You got to give it something to make it original, because otherwise it's like, oh great, your book's like this? Well, that book's already been written. The Ender's Game has already been written. We don't need another Ender's Game because it's been done. It's been done well. So when you're comparing to something like Ender's Game or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or whatever, those books have already been written. And people are like, hey, yeah, that's great. I like that book, but I don't know you. I don't know you from Adam. If anything, the strength of your story should be good enough that your synopsis doesn't even need a comparison. You don't need another version of a well-written book, and sometimes the comparison isn't even fully there. It's like, I've read at least one book that was compared to Ender's Game, and I'm like, how is this like Ender's Game? It's a young person in a dystopian future, and they're in the military. Honestly, I didn't see it, and as a result, I didn't feel like a really good book to me. I might have liked it if it wasn't compared that way, but it had some other issues kind of on its side that kind of went against it, regardless of the comparison. Anyways, what are some books that you've read or have had forced upon you as a reviewer that are essentially compared to something famous? Drop a comment below, or drop a comment and saying something else that really bugs you. Maybe I'll get to it in another episode of Writer Rant. So that's Writer Rant for this week, and I'm Benjamin M. Weilert. Thanks for watching.